kafir immediately. Shows the importance of the zakah. One of the things. Before that, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, Wallahi, I will fight the one who differentiates between zakah and salah. Salah and zakah. I mean, he said the zakah obligatory and the salah obligatory and the zakah is not as important. So, Wallahi, I will fight the one who make a difference between zakah and salah. Means, he said, it does not make the zakah obligatory as the salah. And shows the importance of the zakah. Allah had mentioned the zakah right along with the salah in more than 80 ayah. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ. We have heard this in so many ayat in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Said 80 or 83 times was mentioned in the Quran. The amount of numbers of zakah, Allah had mentioned it with the salah. And Allah said basically the one who, he said one of the characteristics of the kuffar, the one who does not pay the zakah. He said, وَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُشْرِكِينَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَأْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ كَافِرُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala third the mushrikeen, the one does not give the zakah and they do not believe the akhirah. So this is the kuffar. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threat those the one who hold back their zakah. Says سيطوقون ما بخلوا به يوم القيامة. Then Allah said والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ثم أو لا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم. He said the one who hoard silver and gold and they do not spend it for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the ayah, their portion of the zakah, the obligatory part of it, zakah, فبشرهم بعذاب أليم. Inform them about the severe punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for holding their zakah back. And Allah said in the Quran, He said, إنما الصدقات إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله. Allah said, إنما الصدقات. The sadaqat للفقراء. He mentioned also the 8 categories of the zakah. Who should we give the zakah? We cannot be inventive or something creative. Allah clearly said the 8 categories of zakah. So, al-fuqara, who's the fuqara? The fuqara, the one who does not have anything. They said the masakin, the one they have something but not enough. So some people don't have anything. And the masakin, they have some but not enough to survive. For example, your cost of living, a monthly cost of living will be like 3,000 and you make only 2,000. You're under the category of miskin. You have money but not enough. So you are one of those people who are entitled for zakah. Said وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا. A lot of those organizations, they come and collect money for zakah to give to the poor countries or poor people. Said, oh, they take some of the money. I mean, this ayah in the Quran, who's going to collect the zakah? Those are workers. They collect the zakah so they can give it. Because if it comes like individual people, like in a personal level, you're never going to be able to collect the zakah and never going to be distributed to the people that should be. So, al-amina, the one who work, the one who collect the zakah, as they were assigned by the Prophet ﷺ, then the Sahaba, the Khulafa after him, and so on. So this has been going on. The one who collect the zakah, they get paid from the zakah. So like I say, give $100 and this part of it to the people who collected the 100 for zakah. And he said, وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُم. Those the people, the mu'allafa qulub, the one who are interested in Islam, as the people of Tafsir said, or the one who just became Muslim, or they said even the leaders of the tribes back then, he said, then they give them some money so will soften their heart, become more people interested in Islam and convert to Islam. So people, new Muslims, always treat them right and better and be kind to them to soften their heart. SubhanAllah. I said, وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. Riqab, does not exist basically because slavery does not exist. To free the slaves, and some people, they can say to free the Muslim captive in the war, you can pay as the riqab. Some people, Tafsir said that. They said, وَالْغَارِمِينَ, the people in debt, you can pay their debt, then, or that you can give them to pay their debt. If they owe some money, they cannot pay it, then the people entitled of zakah. Said also, fi sabilillah. Fi sabilillah, some people now they said could be part of sabil, there's many. I think one of them, it said for the people who are seeking Islamic knowledge. The one who learn Islamic knowledge and they cannot afford it. So you can give them money, sponsor them, so they can be free for this particular reason, which is seeking Islamic knowledge. And they said also, the ayah said here, وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. Ibn Sabil, the traveler, the one who is stuck somewhere and he does not have money to go back home or to eat or something, you can give him part of zakah. He said farida. Farida min Allah. And this is an obligatory ordained by Allah. Ordained by Allah. And he said, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتِ, Allah name is sadaqah. Shows sadaqah, sidq mean in Islam, linguistic mean truthfulness. So giving the zakah as a sign of the truthfulness of your iman. So this is said, one of the people of Tafsir said, sadaqat, called sadaqah, shows how truthful you are with your deen. Do you give something? And so on. As zakah, there's 4 type things or properties we owe zakat. One of them, the gold and silver, and also the money, the cash. They're all the same. And also, they said the cattle, which is camels, cows, sheep, goats, and so on. And he said, the other thing for the harvest, whatever comes out of the ground, like the wheat, olives, apple, whatever you grow and plant them, and so on. And they said also the inventory, urud tijara, if you own a store, cell phone store, anything, then for the money, for the inventory you have there, you have zakah for that. There's another type of zakat. Some people, they mix up between the zakat, the pillar, the rukn, and the zakat al-fitr. That one is wajibah, this mandatory, but this is pillar for Islam. Definitely, not paying zakat, you are sinning, but you compare something wajib, mandatory, and a pillar for Islam. And there's another sadaqah, they call sadaqah. We call, Allah said, call the zakat sadaqah here. Sadaqah, the one who been given voluntarily, beside the obligatory. As you prayed Maghrib, then after Maghrib, you prayed 2 rak'ah sunnah. So the 2 rak'ah sunnah, this is optional. You could do it or you could leave it. You do it, you get the great reward. You did not do it, will become you're fine. But you missed out, of course, the opportunity, definitely, but no one could say the 2 rak'ah after Maghrib is obligatory. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows here, the Shaykh rahimahullah said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made like different type of ibadat. Salah, for example, then zakah, then hajj, then siyam, and so on. So here, salah has something to need physical work. Get up, make sujood, ruku', and so on. Sometimes you tire, sometimes you cannot stand, qiyam. This is physical. And the zakah has to do with the finance. So that's something, you're giving up something dear to you, which is the money you're giving up. The money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some has the 2 things, which is spending money and physically, which is the hajj. You spend money, and at the same time, you have to be there physically and to walk and stone and so on, jog and make tawaf and sa'i and so on. And some other ibadat Allah have made obligatory upon us. Siyam, basically, you let go things you desire, which is the food and drink and so on. You let go for the sake of Allah. And all this ibadat for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to basically to test us, who is more obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you prefer what Allah have commanded you to do, or you prefer to do what your desires? So basically you let go your desires for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the zakah, first of all, to pay zakat, your money has to be halal. Your money has to be halal. Can someone steal money and pay zakah on it, right? So one of the things has to be halal. The zakah linguistically means something to grow, to increases. Even the zakah, part of your money will be gone, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, purification and increasement for what you have. And the time the zakah became a pillar of Islam in Mecca, but the details of zakah, how much the percentage and so on, was mentioned in Medina. It was mentioned in Medina, or was explained in Medina. And the second year of Hijrah. They said, subhanAllah, definitely part of the wisdom of giving zakah to basically to spend on the poor and the needy. Part of the wisdom. Of course, the first thing is obedient to Allah as a pillar of Islam. But part of the wisdom, some ibadat, we know the wisdom. And Allah shows, for example, the wisdom of siyam. Besides being obligatory, you have to do it. He said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You may reach the taqwa. So this is the wisdom. Besides, always, like I said, when you ask a question, why do you pray? Oh, this is good, healthy. Why do you fast? Become like, like a good diet. No, it's not that. We're doing it because it's obligatory. We're Muslim, we have to do it. Besides this, if someone asks for the wisdom behind it, whether there's wisdom or not, but definitely there's wisdom behind it. I mean to say, whether we know the wisdom or not, we have to do it. But sometimes Allah, or through the people of knowledge and so on, shows the wisdom of the ibadah we do. And he said, besides this, besides giving it to the poor and the needy, which is one of the wisdom, also to show like you prefer to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than your money. You prefer to give for this, please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than fulfilling and your desires on things you like. When you give the zakah, this is a beautiful statement. He said, this means giving the zakah, you admitting and submitting that Allah is the true owner, not you. So it's your money, you work hard for the money, you get them in your pocket, but Allah says, you must give this much. But this is my money. Shows who's the true owner. Even if it's your money, according to nowadays, whatever they believe, it's my money, I worked hard for the money. It still shows who the true owner of the money. No matter how much hard you work, Allah said, you do this. And subhanAllah. And not only that, shows that true ownership of the money, Allah gives you how much you should give. You must give. He's the owner and tells you how much you should give. Minimum this much. You want to do extra, no problem. But you must do this. Shows this one. And no doubt the zakah will purify and expiate the sins. And also, subhanAllah, make you more generous. Start giving. Because naturally, human nature, we love money and like to hold and hoard. But subhanAllah, zakah make you giver. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the givers. And also connection between the rich and poor. So no grudges will be there. Imagine someone, you have everything and the guy next door to you has nothing. And there's a lot of examples overseas. The guy in a palace there and the guy here cannot even find a food to eat, subhanAllah. And when everyone pays zakah, no one will be left behind and everyone will be at least sufficed and so on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made percentage for the amount of zakah, how much you should give. There's the famous one, we know the famous one, everyone or most of us know the famous one, which is, for example, if you have gold, well, how much the percentage zakah? 2.5%. If you have money, gold, silver, and so on. Of course, we can talk about that, something called nisab. We'll mention that nisab in a second. So, but there's other than that. If you own, for example, if you find like, back overseas, and since we have like ancient countries, like one of them, there's a lot of gold been buried since the Roman time. And so for been there in the land or the ground for thousands of years or hundreds of years. If you find in your land a gold, anyone knows the percentage? بارك الله فيك. منها انت بلاقي بمصر شوية ذهب انت منها. أكيد ما فيش حل غير انك بلاقي ذهب. So there's a 20%, 1/5. So if you find something, it shows like, from the Roman or the pharaohs, what like he did. So 20%, so 20%. And how much you pay if you own a land, for example, have an apple farm. how much you pay the zakah. And when do you pay the zakah? How much?
You pay 10%, and if you're watering it, you pay 5%.
So if you water it, you pay for the water 5%. If the rains, you don't water it, the rain, the water comes from the rain, you pay 10%. All right. So the thing, this is one of the things we do. Inshallah, we're going to go inshallah later on to see if you own camels. If you own camels, what is the zakah? If you own like 2 camels, how much you pay? If you own like 5 camels, 10 camels, or 20 camels. If you own sheep, if you own goats, and so on, how much is the zakah? There's so many things. It has to be some zakah on it, subhanAllah. But the most famous thing, which is what the people nowadays has, the most common thing, which is a lot of people has it, this is the gold, silver, and the cash, and so on. The first, before the zakah is mandatory when you reach something called nisab. Remember the word nisab, N-I-S-A-B, nisab. So the nisab, or nun, sad, alif, ba. So nisab, before this, the zakah become mandatory upon, if you have the nisab, the old, the young, male, female, whether insane or fully sane, as long as a person has the nisab. Let's say someone orphan person he's 2 or 3 years old and he have inherited some money from his father. Do we pay zakah? Of course. The people in charge, they must pay zakah for him. Someone insane and he owns something, the people in charge pay money for him. Males, females. So we pay the zakah for it. And the nisab, which is, they said here, the minimum amount of wealth a Muslim must have before being required to pay the zakah. The minimum amount of wealth a Muslim must have before being required to pay the zakah. Means the nisab is equivalent to 85 grams of gold, and the gold is 24 carats. Or something similar to that. Let's say cash. Let's say the gold is $70 a gram. So you have to multiply 70 times 85, and so on. So basically, nowadays could be $5,000 and more, and you have to have for a year. So whether gold, silver, or inventory, or things like this, then more than that, then you owe 2.5%. If you have $10,000 in the bank, then you must pay zakah on it if you have it for a year. If you have it for 11 months, then you don't owe zakah. Let's say you have it for 11 months and 10 days, or 20 days and 25 days, then you lost it. Or it lost more amount of money to make it less than this time, then you don't owe zakah. So have to have it for a year. And the time for if you own a farm tree, or you plant corn or wheat or barley or things like this, or beans, then the day of the harvest, you pay the zakah. The pay of the harvest, pay zakah. They said the date won't become reddish, then the time for zakah for the dates, and so on. So those the time for the zakah, and this is the amount. Some things called waqf, endowment, like the masjid. Do pay zakah in the masjid? We don't pay zakah. If you have a school, you don't pay zakah in the school, and so on. Anything has something to do with amal khair, something there's no zakah in it. So if someone, they said zakah is mandatory upon the person, we said he have to have a nisab. How about someone owes you money? Like let's say someone, you have only $2,000 in the bank, but someone owes you like $10,000. Do you pay zakah on it or not? You don't pay zakah on it? Well, there's the answer has 2 parts. If that person going to pay you, you know he's going to pay, then you pay zakat. If you think that's a hopeless case, you don't pay zakat. Very simple. So the thing is here, the zakah, if you own like wheat, you must pay the zakat from the wheat. If you own sheep, then you must pay the zakat sheep. If you own money, you must pay the zakat money. For example, you have $100,000 in the bank. So the zakat for 100,000, 2,500. And I need the zakat. You don't bring me like, for example, buy me food and meat. No, you give me the zakat, you give me the cash. You give that person the cash, the one who you don't give him what you want. That money is not yours, this is his, and you're not doing him a favor. Done. That's his money, that's his right. You give it to him and done. You give him the way it is. If you own like apple farm, you give apples. If you own like wheat, you give wheat. If you have cash, you give cash. If you give gold, you give money. Right? You're not going to give like a bracelet or something. You give money and equivalent to that and so on. Some stuff, I mean, let's say a man, he makes per year $200,000. How much he owes in zakah? How 5,000 you said? Huh? $200? 20,000. He make 200,000.
A year?
Okay. 5,000. That's not.
Two sides?
Okay. If you make, let's say, you make $200,000 a year, right? So you deduct from that everything, all your expenses first. It's not how much you make, how much you have for a year. So if you deduct for food, drink, clothes, rent, or whatever, payments here, cars, your college students, your children, things and this and that, then after that, whatever you have for a year, you pay zakat. You don't see how much you make. You don't pay for how much you make, how much you have for a year. After paying everything off, then the remaining balance for a year you pay. Like, how about if you have a house here and a house in Florida and a house in whatever in Hawaii? You pay zakat. You pay zakat on your house first? No? No. Okay. No, I'm talking, no, I do not less. So you don't pay zakat on your house. If you have a house here and a house in Florida, you pay zakat on it. And the one house in Florida?
You pay zakat on the one you don't, like living.
Okay, so you pay the house in Florida? Not collecting. That's saying we didn't get to the rent yet. So we said you own house here and house left in Florida. You live in Cleveland. So if you own a house here and a house in different area, and if you go there like a house here, a lot of people, they own a house here and a house overseas, back home. So you pay zakat. If you go there once a year, or you plan on going there, you don't pay zakat on it. But if that house for rent and is not rented, you pay zakat on the value of the house. So the thing is, if you rent the house, you add the income from the house, you have like rental property, you add the rent to your income. Let's say you work somewhere, truck driver, right? You're a truck driver, then you own a house, then you add the income from that house to your income, right? The same, you rent a house for $1,000, you make $12,000, and you make from your whatever your business you have or work you do, $100,000. You add everything together, you deduct the expense, whatever you spend, and the remaining balance you have for a year, then pay zakat. If you exceeded, then nisab. If you exceeded, then nisab. You don't. How about your cars? You don't pay for the cars? You know? You know? Okay. This is the same thing. What same what? We said so many things. What same what? You don't pay. Jazakallah. So the okay, the horse. If you own a horse back in the days, you don't pay on the horse. If you own a car, you don't pay on the car. If you have like car for winter or summer, okay. If you own a car for winter or summer, you don't pay for them, and so on.
Allahu Akbar, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
So if you own a house or a car or 2 or 3 cars to use, you don't pay zakat. If you own houses in different places to live in it, even like once a year or so on, you don't pay zakat. And we mentioned if you own houses for rental property, will be totally different. Okay, the question for you: let's say you did not make Hajj and you saving some money to go to Hajj. You never made Hajj. You save some money, like every year, if you save money for 5 years, you make money for Hajj. And you exceeded the nisab. Do you pay zakat on this or not? You do? Okay. How about to get married? You save money to get married. Any money. Reach the nisab, don't matter the reason why you're saving it for, whether for college, for Hajj, for Umrah, for marriage, for building a house or buying a house. The moment they reach the nisab, you pay zakah on it. The moment they reach the nisab, you pay zakah on it, no matter what it is. طيب. If someone dies and did not pay zakah, and, so if that money, if he left some money behind, they deduct the zakah money, pay it, and so on. If someone didn't know, didn't pay zakah for years, 4, 5, 6 years, then he decided, no, I did not pay zakah for 5, 6 years, now I make tawbah. What happened there? He owes for all the years he did not pay the zakah. He has to go backward and pay zakah for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And this happened, this message, people pay zakah for 10 years. Allah came to me and paid zakah for 10 years, subhanAllah, and so on. So definitely and this mandatory upon his heirs to pay his zakah before they divide his heritage. We said if you own 85 grams of gold, then you must pay zakat. And equivalent to has to be from 24 carats or something close. If you lay, for example, 90, 20, whatever, and 120 or so on, which is equivalent to 85 full gold, the 24 carats gold, not any gold. If you own like 85 grams, the 13 carats, or whatever those, the cheap gold, you don't owe zakat. And same thing with the silver, about 595 grams of silver, then also you owe zakat and more. This is the nisab. Same thing, equivalent to the cash as we have mentioned. You have to multiply by the amount, how much the gram of gold, then you move on from there. The few things I want to mention, or the last thing here, if women have gold, the gold the woman wear, that she owes zakah on it, and why? And if she doesn't, why? She owes every year.
There's two opinions. If she wears the gold, some opinion says if she wears the gold, that she doesn't have to pay zakah on it. Another opinion says all the zakah that she has for like an entire year, she has to pay zakah on it if it's more than 8,000.
Yeah. So the zakah for the woman, for the gold, the woman, of course, there's two opinions. One of them, the gold she wear does not owe zakah, and the stronger opinion, she owes zakah, whether she wear it or not. So because Rasulullah one time saw a girl wearing a bracelet, and he said, or two bracelets. He asked her mother, did you pay zakah on those? So she was wearing it. He said, no, I didn't, Ya Rasulullah. He said, would you like Allah to replace them with two bracelets of fire? So the zakah and the woman and her gold must be paid every year, so as long as her gold reaches the nisab, more than 85 grams of gold, then she must pay zakah on it. So, and every year, yes, every year. Zakah is not only 1 year, every year. So, and the zakah will be paid based upon the amount, how much she will sell them for, not what she bought it for. Let's say she bought for 10,000. As you know, if she wear it, will be less than that. If the gold price the same, will be like 7,000, 8,000. Then she pay for the $7,000 or $8,000, not what she bought for, what she would sell it for now. She gets 7, 8, so that she pays a zakah for this, and this is, Allah knows best, the stronger opinion. So if you own, of course, diamond, they said there's no, if you wear diamond, there's no zakah on it. It's not one of the things pay zakah on it. But if you have it for business to sell and buy, then become like the inventory you have. Like if you own cell phone store, you own like a grocery store, halal, of course. Then all the stuff like this, then you pay zakah on it as one of the things you make money off of. So those are a few things about the zakah. There's no time to go for the cattle. There's a few things about the cattle we can cover. But